She's a conservative and I'm liberal, and yet we've been friends for almost 40 years. Everyone says you shouldn't discuss politics, religion, or money, and we say that's exactly what friends should be talking about. Join us as we tackle the conversations you're having in your head, but are too scared to say out loud. Hello, Jolene.
Hi, Nicole. Oh my gosh, welcome to We've Got to Talk. And I would like to say, if this is the first time joining us, thank you so much. You're starting off your new year in a great way because you've got two friends who are really blessed and fortunate to be able to talk to each other the way that we do. And if you would like to be a part of this journey, please like and subscribe. You can find us on Apple and Spotify and
YouTube
and
wherever you get your podcasts.
Instagram and wherever. We're all over the place. So we would love to hear your comments. Please feel free to comment on our website, we'vegotttotalk.com. And if you would like to be a sponsor of our show, we would love to have you. So please contact us on our website and leave us a comment, and we'll get back to you. It'll be Nicole. I'm not lying. It's not we. It's Nicole. Nicole will get back to you. But if you leave us a really good comment, she's going to forward it to me, and I'm going to look at it, and I'm going to go.
That's right.
We want them to be a sponsor.
That's right. So thank you guys. Listen, welcome to 2026. Could you give us our money back? We got to start over. This has been absolutely bananas. We are recording, just so y'all know, we are recording Sunday, January 11th. Here's the deal, y'all. We have this fabulous media team and editor and producer, and they live across the world in Brisbane, Australia. And they are saying they take a month off to revitalize, to regroup, to play in the sand.
Reconnect
right?
with their families.
Absolutely. They take a whole month, y'all. It is the most un-American thing you could possibly do, and they do it with grace and humor. And so while they've been on their rest, the world has fallen apart over here, and Jolene and I have been recording a little bit broader topics because we were we can't do anything right now. Well, now Sweet Brianna is back, and we're ready to go, and we are going to tackle today Venezuela. We are going to tackle all things Minnesota. The fraud, the ice shootings in Portland. We are going to tackle the Iran uprisings. Is there anything else, Jolene, that we're going to tackle? I've forgotten. I think that's...
Well,
and
we
else
did just bomb Syria last night. Did you hear that? We bombed Syria last night. So there's that.
I am not prepared for that.
Although I'm not either.
Prepared.
But there is that.
There is so much, and Brianna, God bless her, she's going to rush this, and it will air on Wednesday the 14th. So welcome to We've Got to Talk, and welcome to 2026. And I just want to say, Jolene, before we begin, listener and viewer, please give us some grace, because this is huge. And we are trying to keep up at lightning speed, and we're trying to look at what the left is saying, what the right is saying, what we're saying, how we feel. It's been quite a journey. And one thing I can say, Jolene, that has been kind of in the spirit of We've Got to Talk that I am thrilled about is as we've been rushing to find out as much information to be able to speak sort of, I don't want to say with authority, but to have a sense of what's going on in the world, right?
Intelligently, yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That I have been always compelled to send you what I'm seeing versus there is no sense of, I'm going to get Jolene and I'm going to arm her up and I'm going to make her look like a fool and I'm going to have all my armor ready to go to get her. I am Joe, this is what I'm seeing. Show me what you're seeing so that we can not necessarily agree completely. We're still Jolene and Nicole. We're still Democrat and Republican. We're still people with our own stories and our own experiences, bringing that to this listener and viewer.
But the thing that I think is different from over a year ago that we've been doing this is that my sources have changed because I know that you're going to hold my you're going to hold my feet to the fire and go, where'd you read that? And I'd be like, oh, I saw it on Twitter, so obviously it's true.
Right.
I mean, that's no longer part of the conversations that we're having. And I try to go to sources that I know are either halfway unbiased or giving us a perspective that is does not come from the left or the right.
Yeah.
That is truly trying to be out front with just the facts.
And
and then we can form our own opinions based on our own values.
That's right.
And isn't that what we should be doing?
I mean, that's, I think, what has been so fascinating too, Joe, trying to culminate all of these different topics. And now having the knowledge of, okay, if I'm listening to NPR up first and I will go, okay, I'm going in knowing that this is a left-leaning source. And now I'll find it fascinating versus being triggered. Or the right.
Yeah.
Or if I go to Fox News, I will be like, well, I know what their agenda is too. And like we've said before 1,000 times, that the most exciting thing that is happening in this space is that independent news media sources are happening. Tangle, Mo News, Straight Arrow News, all these incredible sources that we can all share with each other, and they're following the stories in a real way. And then they have the respect of our humanity and our brain to understand that we can make our own decisions and they don't need to push us one way or another. So let's dive into this. Let us talk about, in sort of order, let's go to Venezuela. Maybe? Let's talk about Venezuela, everybody.
Here we go.
Let's talk about Maduro being snatched up in the middle of the night.
Okay, here's the other thing with this episode. We're going to go rapid fire because we've got a lot to cover, and we don't want to waste your time, viewer and listener. So, number one, Nicole, how do you feel about Maduro being arrested and taken into the United States custody overnight?
I mean, okay, here's the deal. What I've really had trouble with the Trump administration from the very beginning is that there are things that he does that actually I could get behind and I could applaud, but I don't like the way he does it. And he does it too fast, and he does it without checks. Like, he doesn't check with Congress. He doesn't check with the Gang of Eight, which I learned what the Gang of Eight was. Did you know what the Gang of Eight was?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because I have. Yeah.
Okay. So
yes.
So what I don't appreciate. Listen, Maduro is a bad dude. Maduro is a bad dude. He stole the election. He has completely bankrupted the country. It is super corrupt. These poor Venezuelan people are broke, hungry, exhausted, and they need help.
How do you feel about us going in and getting him?
I don't like it. I don't like that that's how it happened. Is he a criminal? Yes. Because everything is a show. Like, we recently learned that the U.S. soldiers were hurt. Like, there was first this, like, we got the guy, and then they show pictures of him being blindfolded. It's like I feel like I'm in a reality TV program versus the United States government.
Okay, but so you don't think that we should have arrested him and taken him into custody?
I would have preferred that Trump had let the Gang of Eight know that this was the plan, that they were going to go get Maduro. I think it's all completely bananas. I think Machado is now, like, trying to give her Peace Prize away so that she could possibly be the leader. And I also find this fascinating because I was listening to a daily where Machado actually came from this upper class background. And Delcy, who is currently the vice president or now running the country, actually was raised by a Marxist revolutionary who was killed in 1976 because he was behind this possible torturing and killing, torturing and kidnapping of an executive, that possible CIA American agent. But Delcy has learned to be transactional, and Machado is very idealistic. And so what I've heard is that Trump is feeling like he can work better with Delcy than he can with Machado. Is it Machado? Am I pronouncing her name right?
I think that's right.
Okay.
I think so. Yeah.
But then you've got the oil executives who are saying, yo, slow your roll. Like, he's had these meetings with the oil executives that's like, listen, they owe us already tens of billions of dollars. Why are we going to go back in there? Or we have to, and that Trump came out and said, well, we can't look at the past. It was their mistakes, and it was a different president. And I'm just thinking, oh boy, we're in for it. We're in for it. Do I like the methodology, the way he did it? No. Do I think that Maduro should be president? No. I personally think Machado should be president because she was elected 2 years ago. Now, you could have another election. I suppose, if that's the case. I'm so uncomfortable with the fact that there has been like interviews with Stephen Miller saying, yes, we're running Venezuela. Yes, we are going to run Venezuela for years. And Trump is like, yeah, that's what we're going to do. And he was supposedly ran on America First and not being, and I happened to come across some Truth Social post on Facebook this morning from Trump that was I guess yesterday, saying that like, it's like his title now is like the peace president. And I'm sort of like, this doesn't feel peaceful. None of this feels very peaceful. So I'm going to stop talking and you tell me how you're feeling about Maduro and Machado and Delcy and all the things and the oil execs.
Okay. So here, isn't it interesting that I asked you a question and you still couldn't answer the question, right? I mean, it's a really hard question, right? There's not a right
Meaning,
or
like,
wrong
how do I
answer
feel
here.
about him being kidnapped in the middle of the night?
Should we have arrested him and taking him into custody? That was the question.
This is where I feel, Jolene, that I'm just naive because and doing this podcast, I'm learning because I'm curious whether this has been done just privately through all the years of the United States. And that the people just don't know about it, what goes on. That they just, and now Trump has just like, behind door number 3, it's now the new channel is the United States. Like, watch it. We're going to show you what we do.
Right.
Does that answer?
I completely agree. No, it still doesn't answer the question because it's a really hard question, right? There isn't, like, you want him to be gone, but you don't know that the way that we did it was right.
Yes, Jolene,
Okay.
I don't think it was right. Where I think I have the most problem is because he didn't check with Congress or the Gang of Eight. This country,
Okay.
I want more checks and balances, and there's very little right now.
I completely, I would get behind that.
You would.
I think you're right. I would agree with you there.
Sorry,
okay,
I've been
but
so
what I'm about
long-winded.
to say, no, because I think that is, I wanted you to say all the things that you just said.
So you could
because
trap
here's
me.
what I'm going to, nope, it's not, I'm not trapping you.
Okay.
Your reaction, I think, is probably the same as, I don't know, 50% of America.
Okay.
Let's
Conservative
just say. I don't think you're out of line.
and liberal.
No, I don't know.
Okay.
No, probably most liberals.
Okay.
I'm guessing.
Okay.
Have nothing to back this up. But I'll tell you what. I am making this statement right now. I feel like the actions that we've just taken absolutely will be the most important thing that President Trump will have ever done in his 8 years in his presidency. It will go down in history as a pivotal time in American history because it's not about the drugs. It wasn't about the oil. It is simply about who Venezuela was giving their oil to, and it was China. And
Russia,
for
too.
us to Yes, and for us to be able to cut off that supply to China was absolutely a brilliant strategic move. China buys 90% of its oil from Venezuela. So the fact that we just stopped that, it was such a strategic move that he first had to have a reason to take Maduro out. So we called him a narco-terrorist. And then we had the authority to go in and arrest him over the all of the charges that we indicted him on, he and his wife. The first thing that happened was we were shooting the boats that were coming out of Venezuela, the drug boats. And that's, I know, controversial. And then we started a military front in the Caribbean outside of Venezuela. So, I mean, all of these things were leading up to, we're coming after you, Venezuela, and trying to do it in a way.
We're coming after you, Maduro.
Yes. I mean, Venezuelan administration. Because they have absolutely done, horrible things to their people. Ironically, kind of the same things that we're seeing with Iran. Like they've absolutely, punished their people for speaking out, the whole Machado thing. But if we can keep the reserves from going to China, we've now debilitated China's ability to go to Taiwan and take over Taiwan, because they're not going to have the oil to fuel their military to take over Taiwan. We've also just stripped their ability to power all of the AI that we are that we're competing against, because 90% of the Venezuelan oil was going to China. So now where's China going to go for their oil? They'll get some from Russia, but because the biggest reserves, 300 billion barrels, $17 trillion worth of oil is sitting in Venezuela. So then if you go back to the Monroe Doctrine. So Monroe Doctrine was from President James Monroe, yes. 1823. Uh-huh. And he basically was the Western Hemisphere is ours. It belongs to America back in the 1800s. What we're basically saying is Europe, you take care of Europe, United States is going to take care of the Western Hemisphere. 1904, Theodore Roosevelt had a right, I'm sorry, I'm looking at my notes here, in Latin America to stabilize the economy and prevent European involvement. So again, it kind of reared its fundamentals again to say, again, we have the right to govern our neighbors, because that is, again, Europe can't come in here and colonize and have any control over this area of the world. I mean, and that was basically it. Like, we'll take care of our neighborhood, you take care of yours, Europe.
Well, when does the neighborhood where does the neighborhood stop?
Well, the Western Hemisphere. I mean, the whole thing was talking about Western Hemisphere versus Eastern Hemisphere. So then this whole thing, and Trump taking this from Monroe Doctrine to the Donroe Doctrine,
gross,
was his way to invoke like a sense of history. Like, he's not the first person to do this and to have this feeling and to have this protectionism that he is reverting, is referring back to, the 1800s presidents and the 1900 presidents, that this isn't some, obscure wacko thing that Trump is doing. We've been doing it for hundreds of years. Here's what I think is interesting, and this is why then I agree with you on maybe he's overstepped his bounds, though, is that the Senate voted this last week, 52-47, to bar the Trump administration from further military action. And that the Republicans, there were 5 Republicans that sided with the Democrats going, okay, I get why we've done it, but you can't just go in there, guns a-blazing now.
It was Josh Hawley from Missouri, Rand Paul from Kentucky, Susan Collins from Maine, Lisa Murkowski from Alaska, and Todd Young from Indiana. And the two that were the most surprising, sorry to interrupt you, was Josh Hawley and Todd Young, who normally have been fierce Trump supporters. And they're like, absolutely, y'all, slow your roll. You're crossing a line here. And Trump was really pissed. He basically came out and said that that was an act of stupidity and they should never be elected to office again.
Yep. Oh, I'm sure. Because again, I think whoever came up with this this Venezuelan strategy, and whether it was Trump or it was an advisor or a group of people, whatever, I think this was so well planned and well executed that it was absolutely brilliant. Because no one, again, we've talked about how many times that when something is happening, we're looking at the shiny object, but the real thing is happening back here. So we all thought that we were going after him for the drugs, and this was the drug boats, no, that was simply setting up a way for us to go in there and take Maduro out, but for the other reason of these oil reserves. And because they're in our back door, they're our neighbor to the south, we can't let Russia, and that was the thing, Russia and China and Iran are all coming in, are big buddies with Venezuela. And for us to allow that to happen, I mean, we go back to the Cuban Missile Crisis. I mean, that's how close they are. They're in our backyard. If we continued to allow this relationship to happen, we had to step into Venezuela.
Okay, hold on. So I don't disagree with you that I was very surprised and totally naive because I didn't know how much China and Russia, and I don't know about Iran, but I knew Russia and China were involved in Venezuela, and that seemed totally crazy to me that was just known and somehow the United States was cool with it. But there's a lot of contradictions about what China and Russia are involved in that we are like, oh, that's fine, but that's not fine. Like, there's another episode that we just recorded about surrogacy that we'll talk about that will air later, that I can't believe that it's okay what China's doing, and I guess it's okay. I have a bunch of questions. Are you concerned that this act of going in and taking a leader in the middle of the night and not checking with the rest of the government, that other governments are going to think that that's okay? And that also, so if they made this plan, this Maduro plan, that, okay, we're going to set this up, we're going to create a narrative, we're going to kill all these people from the sky and say it's drugs without due process, which is crazy because they've said we're just supposed to take the Trump administration at its word that they are filled with drugs, and some might have been, some might not have been. I mean, they definitely killed a Colombian fisherman that was not like, there are people that were killed by accident that they won't admit that they were killed by accident.
Wait, how do you know that?
From research that I have done in the past.
I would challenge that. I would say, who did that come from? I mean, was that the Venezuelan people who said that? I mean, But
Jolene, like, there is no due process. They're just shooting people from the sky.
That is true.
Okay, let's just start there. They're shooting people from the sky. They're saying, don't worry about it. They're drug boats, and then we're kidnapping this guy who's a bad guy and charging him for being a narco terrorist, that he's a drug pin, and yet now we're like, no, it's really not about that. Well, then can we hold him on the charges that he's a drug lord? And then, like, Trump has pardoned that Honduran drug dealer. His name was Hernandez, I think. Why are we pardoning him if you're so against the drugs that were clearly coming into this country? Is it brilliant or is it manipulative? Here's the deal, Joe. I'm not against, like, if I hear that China and Russia are deeply involved in Venezuela and they have this insane resource of oil, and the United States is like, this is a little too close for comfort here. But it's just the way he's doing all of it. It's like this, and we'll get into it when it comes to Minneapolis and then the ICE shootings. And there is this sense of like, y'all, the sky is green, the sky is green, the sky is green. And then we're like, no, the sky is blue. And he's like, no, the sky is green. And we're just supposed to all go, oh, okay?
Okay. Okay. All right. So can I address some of these?
Yes.
First of all, the Chinese. I think what Trump is doing is putting himself in a the most positive position for negotiation with China. Now that we have cut out such a major energy and power supply for China, then now we're in the power of we're in the driver's seat.
Can I ask you, Joe, where did you get those findings about the China getting cut off? Those numbers.
That was from...
Because I've been furiously researching all kinds of things, so of course I can't...
That was, I think, from a Reuters... I've got two sources here. There was a Reuters report and a Washington Post report.
Okay. And China doesn't have its own oil.
I think China does have some oil. I think the point being that Venezuela is the largest oil reserves. Now,
you don't think that China would be emboldened to take Taiwan because of this?
No, I don't think they can. If we just cut off their power source,
but they have
their power supply.
They have huge solar and wind sources as well.
I don't think that's going to power their Navy ships.
I was thinking like the AI chips.
Again, I think there's so much power behind AI. Wind and solar is not enough to supply that, I think. So I just think this puts us in a position where China now is going to have to at least acquiesce to some of our demands, and whether that's tariffs, what if that, whoever.
Well, we're also going to find out if tariffs are even legal too, right? This year.
Yes.
That's going to be part of 2026.
I will say, I just saw that our trade deficit is back to like 2009 levels because of tariffs, but that's a whole nother episode.
That is a whole other episode
because
the farmers are getting...
They are, but yes, that's another episode.
It's another episode.
Colombian president has now, just as of this morning, wants to have a conversation with Trump. I think this move, again,
they did.
This move has made us in control. And I think now other countries are seeing this and going, okay, don't mess with the United States.
Okay, hold on, Joe.
And that's Trump's whole thing.
So are you in favor of what happened? Maybe not in favor of the method of it, of how it happened, but in favor of what the result is? Like, what is
yes,
your... Okay.
Absolutely. I think that we needed to do something. And again, I haven't given it enough thought as much as whoever, these advisors are. Obviously, this is their jobs. And this is, what they think about night and day. But I think the fact, it is a simple fact that Venezuela held so much oil reserves and that 90% of it was going to China, that I feel like that had to stop. And whatever method we had to use to get that to stop was critical. Now, I think with everything else that Trump does, sometimes we think, God, why are you doing that? In Minnesota, as we start to talk about, Minnesota is going to be one of those things. Yeah. That we just go, why? Sometimes he's such an idiot. But this, I think, was freaking brilliant. Other thing you said about the drug lord, that Maduro being a drug lord and all that, he was absolutely a drug lord. And so, again, going after him on these narco-terrorism charges are still legit, and they're still going to stand, and we're still going to indict him on, his dealings and whether he was, a drug pen leader of one of the biggest, cartels. I mean, that's all one other issue. Was that the smoke and mirrors that we needed to go in and really stop the bigger picture? Last thing, you said the Honduran president. Still, Trump goes back and says that was something that the Biden administration did. Again, what I'm going to say about Trump. He's not. He makes stupid comments and he says stupid things.
Well, he just didn't. He felt like he was pitted against, like he had a similar story to Trump.
And right, exactly. And so he's going to, use this guy. Again, this doesn't have the Colombian drug part and the Honduran drug part. The Venezuelan thing is not about drugs, even though that is, we will still pursue that. This move was not about drugs.
This is about money and power. It was about oil.
It is absolutely about money and power.
How do you feel, though, and we'll start to move on, how do you feel about the United States being involved now for years. Like, they're going to have a presence. They're going to, I mean, he's saying run the government, which I don't none of us know what that means yet, right? But how does that just feel? How does that feel to you?
So I feel like it's a threat. The message from the State Department this morning, as of Sunday morning, was if you're an American, get out of Venezuela because they're mad and they're going to go after you. I think Trump trying to keep the VP in there and not working with Machado. I think he did see, again, now Trump's in control. United States is in control of Venezuela. And so now he can work with her and say, we can help you here. We can help get your country back on track and, start helping with the getting your oil. I mean, it's such an antiquated system. All of the oil companies are going, their system is going to take years and billions of dollars to fix. Yeah. But again, because they sit on the largest oil reserves in the world by far, not like, a little bit, by far, it is absolutely worth their time. And the fact that we're going to give that revenue back to the Venezuelan people to make that country great again.
Oh, God. Don't you dare say that.
I did it.
Don't
I said
you
it. Make
dare. I mean...
Mava movement.
Oh my God. You didn't. You didn't. But this is okay. I know we have to move on because I know there's so much to talk about. But when Trump says I can work with the Delcy administration, that's what I'm going to call it. What work with in quotes to me means bully, threaten. I mean, he's got him. He's got him.
I mean, isn't it the same thing that we're doing with Gaza? Is it the same thing we're doing with Iran or with Israel? I mean, like, we're going to work with you. We're going to be a partner with you. We're going to help you. How much foreign aid do we give across this whole world?
But how are you?
And you don't think that we're going to do that to somebody who's in our backyard?
But I'm not suggesting that. But I think this Venezuelan government, this Maduro now Delcy government is fucking corrupt. Sorry, Linda. It's corrupt. So the fact that he's, quote unquote, working with them, I think it's because he's like, I've got you. I've got you.
Oh, absolutely.
And I guess I'm uncomfortable. I'm just uncomfortable that, like, oh, this is how our government is. And this is politics. And maybe I didn't know that. Maybe I didn't know that.
Okay, so let me ask you, would you rather have China going in there and saying, we're going to help you?
Listen, you know me and the kumbaya. I wish China and I were, China and just me. I wish China and the United States were friends. I wish we could figure it out. I really do. I really
because
do.
You're so sweet.
I just want us all to get along.
I know you do.
Listen, so yeah, I don't have an answer for you. I don't.
Because if it's not, I'm just telling you, if it's not us, it's China or it's Russia.
Listen,
so do you want it to be us or do you want it to be China or Russia?
Oh, you're doing it to me. You're putting me in the corner. Don't put baby in the corner.
And I don't mean to. I never want to put baby in the corner. I don't like that. But it's not a kumbaya world that we live in.
I know it's not. And I think that's what I'm realizing.
I know.
I think that's what I'm realizing. And I'm disappointed, y'all. Okay, listen. We need to move forward and talk about, how are we going to do this? We're going to talk about the Minnesota fraud plus the ICE shootings of Renee Good in Minnesota and the couple who were shot and I guess are surviving in Portland before we go to Iran. We're going to start here. I was honestly focused on the ICE shootings because I can't speak for your feed, but it was so overwhelming. The amount of video, the amount of vitriol on both sides, it was like up to my neck in yuck and hate and anger in I am right, you are wrong. He's a murderer. She's an evil person. I was like, so I don't know if we can talk about the fraud first. We can talk about the shootings first. What would you like to talk about?
Well, I think we have to start with the fraud first because that's, I think, where it started because that's why we sent in so many ICE agents. So
Oh, I see.
So the fraud.
Where you're going. I see where you're going. Okay.
Okay, so the fraud really stemmed from probably 2020 during the pandemic. Feeding Our Future was an organization that was getting money, getting federal funding for feeding kids. It was autism. It was helping shelters and therapists for autistic kids. There was some homeless shelter. It was a whole group of different things.
It was food. And there was like a Medicaid scam for housing and daycare. Like they ran the gamut.
This was all under Tim Walz as the governor. They went in and what a program that started at $2.4 million a year all of a sudden went up to over $100 million a year in handing out subsidies to all of these organizations. 92 people were charged. As of this time, 62 have been convicted. Most of them were from the Somali community. That's the first thing those are all facts, right? We would agree on that.
We would agree on that.
Okay. Then
I did think that it started like way earlier in 2013. I read something though. That was the only thing.
Well, here's what's funny too. As an Iowan, for some reason, Iowa and Minnesota, because Minnesota's just north of Iowa, and there's always been this rivalry.
Oh, really?
And so, as an Iowan, I grew up thinking that Minnesota was corrupt. And
really?
That their taxes were high. Yes. And that their taxes were high because they gave their money away. Like I remember growing up, like as a kid, thinking that was Minnesota, that they were kind of because they have such a high Scandinavian population, that's their, and Scandinavia is very good about, giving a lot of their money, very high taxes, but they really have a lot of social services.
Yes. And really good social services as well.
Yeah.
And the research I did about this as well that was super fascinating is that Minnesota has this very high Scandinavian culture of giving back. And it's not a segue, but there's a podcast called CityCast, and they have them all over in these small cities. There's one in CityCast Salt Lake. I highly recommend this podcast if it's in your hood. And I was listening to a CityCast Salt Lake episode recently, but it had all the hosts from all over the country. And one of them was Minneapolis. This is before all the shootings. I mean, it was just sort of like, whoa. And this host was talking about the long history of racism in Minnesota, that was part of the culture, that it was real, that they weren't surprised that the George Floyd murder happened in Minneapolis, that this is sort of like maybe to the United States it was surprising, but not to Minnesotans. And so what I found interesting as I was diving into this fraud situation is that the fraud became rampant, as you said, during the pandemic. We were all, as the pandemic happened, we were all like, and couldn't believe this was happening to our world. And how can we, I think all of us, liberal, conservative, we're like, how do we help our brothers and sisters, right? Like who needs help? And so here is the situation, and I don't know, like this, I'm just freestyling right now. But if you have a culture where you're aware that there's a lot of racism, and then you have the Scandinavian culture that is also very giving, and maybe let's throw some white guilt in there. I'm not really sure. It is a perfect cocktail for things to be taken advantage of. I
think you're exactly right.
And I think it's super sad because I know in my bones that most of the Somali community in Minnesota is honest and hardworking, and it's these it happens in every situation. It's the rotten few that ruin it for the rest of the people. But if then you have this culture where, and Tim Walz has even said, like they sort of turned a blind eye. And the fraud got worse and worse and worse. Where gets into really, really ugly, yucky waters is that kid, Nick Shirley, did this 45-minute YouTube video that was edited and unsubstantiated, and he just threw it to the wall, like threw spaghetti at the wall. And as you and I were trading sources from CBS, the Minnesota Star Tribune, a bunch of different sources, that some of it was right, but most of it was not right. And so,
I would push back against that. Yeah.
Okay. Talk to me.
To say, okay, wait, I want to back up a little, because one of the things that happened after the pandemic, when they realized that there was fraud, when the Minnesota state auditors realized there was fraud going on, some of these Somalian communities accused the state of racial discrimination because they were Somalis. And so the state backed off because, number one, they were a huge voting bloc for the Democrats, and they didn't want to rile them up. And again, was that part of white guilt? Was that part of, so you're right. It was a powder keg.
Yes.
And they didn't want to lose the votes, and they didn't want to lose the support of the Somali community, so they didn't push back. So now we go to Nick Shirley. I think that Republicans think that Nick Shirley, this YouTuber, was brilliant. That he wasn't. He doesn't work for a.
No. That's not true. That's not true, Jolene. He was working for the GOP Minnesota caucus.
Well, no, but I'm saying that he wasn't a journalist.
No.
He wasn't working for a journalism. That he was an independent journalist that was going and saying, "Okay, here's the reports that we have from here are the records that show how much money this learning center has been given over the years." And he goes to them, and they're not open. Now, in that Minnesota state, here's what's interesting: the couple stories that I have read. You and I read the same ones, so CBS and Minnesota Star Tribune.
And the New York Times and the Bulwark.
Oh, the New York Times, yeah. Bulwark is a little biased for me.
I understand.
That one I took with a grain of salt. The fact that then the Minnesota Star Tribune then went and looked at the same facilities that he did, and they said that there were kids there. Well, then the counter story to that was that they called all of their friends and said, get your kids. We need to have because they had video of these kids, of cars dropping off these kids and running into the daycares. And they're like, who shot the video? Who was there to shoot this video showing kids actually going in? You think that wasn't a setup? I find that really convenient.
I don't know, Joe. I think it's part of a bigger picture. And I think it's because we all have basically access to video cameras that are in our phone, that all of a sudden we're all journalists and we're all filmmakers and we're all television hosts and we're all podcast hosts and we're all. And that the distrust of the media is so rampant that we're willing to be like, this kid has exposed this thing. And I didn't watch all 43 minutes of the Nick Shirley video. I couldn't stomach it. I did watch about 20 minutes. I was like, okay, why is David only David? His big source, that older white dude. I was like, does David have a last name? Who is this person, right? We love a good uncovering story. The way it was shot, all of it, where this comes to a bigger thing that we've talked about, and we've got to talk, I don't know how many times, that I really don't get it. Why, as a society, we're not enraged that we are being manipulated 24/7. 24/7. It doesn't matter if you're a liberal or a conservative. And that we just, our brains can't, our nervous systems can't handle it. And we're just like, okay, I believe that. That's the truth. That's the truth.
Yeah,
and then we just defend that. And that's maybe what we can, as a segue to talk about the shootings. We have these access now to all of these videos, right? For the Minnesota shooting, Minnesota, it wasn't Minneapolis. It was Minnesota.
Minneapolis.
Yeah. And it was all these different angles. And every news media source I've talked about the Rorschach test, that it basically is like, whatever video you looked at, you now can then defend your position. And what I'm struggling with, number one, is that this was fucking horrible. This was horrible. I don't care if you're on the right or the left. This was horrible. And I am incredibly worried that we have become a society, and it's with all the administrations, I'm going to say everybody, right and left, but the people in power immediately defended the ICE agent and they said all these things about this woman, and they had no facts. They're like, I'm in this camp and I hate you and this person's right. And then the other one, the mayor of Minneapolis, I understand that he is so upset, and I'm a swearer. I love to say the word fuck. I love it. Linda, I love it. But I'm really trying not to say it so much. But then when Jacob Frey immediately was like, get the fuck out, I was like, oh no. There is now, like, we are the worst of ourselves. We are the worst of ourselves, and we're never going to move forward unless we rise above. Because one thing, as I was looking at it, Joe, none of us were there. Most of us were not there, okay? Number one. Number two, I kept thinking about the fight or flight response. Like, I don't even know the context, because what's her name? Kristi Noem is like, they were trying to dig out of the snow, and she attacked them, and I'm like, everyone's gonna see that she's just sitting there. Okay, so I am like, you're hearing on the video that some people are telling her to get away, go away, and some of her are telling her to get out of the car. And what would you do in that circumstance? We have no idea. Then also, which I thought was fascinating, was on Mo News, and I think I immediately texted you once I read that or heard that podcast. It was the first time I'd heard about the guy that shot's background, and that 6 months ago, last June, he had stopped a person that was supposedly an illegal migrant who was supposedly in a gang. He punched the window, which I wonder about that tactic, but he punched the window open, got his arm stuck, was dragged 100 yards. That's what happened to that man. And then 6 months later, he's filming the woman. He's in front of the car, which again seems a little like, why would you put yourself in front of the car? And then she turns the car and he shoots her in the head 2 more times. And the thing that I just think it's so tragic on all the levels, from his standpoint, from her standpoint. This to me goes back to, how are we training police? Why are we shooting before we're chasing? Why are we, like, what is happening here? And we are not looking at any humanity. None. We're just like attacking each other. And like, she's part of the left, radical left. Maybe. I don't know.
So just to make the segue between between Somali fraud and ICE, is then Trump sends in 2,000 ICE agents because he's so pissed off about this fraud that he has the nerd. I think it's the knee-jerk reaction of, let's go get those Somalis. Let's go inundate Minneapolis specifically. When we say Minnesota, I'm not so sure it's all of Minnesota. I think it's Minneapolis,
I'm not really
concentrated
sure
in the Minneapolis
area.
Yeah,
I don't know.
The suburbs. But let's go in there and let's get rid of, again, it's Tim Walz, who was the vice presidential, nominee with Kamala Harris last year. So, it's Trump's way of going in and playing the power card and going, we're going to go in and take care of this ourselves. Yep. Is that antagonistic? Probably. I mean, and so then you've got, and again, we've talked about this. We've talked about this in the context of my girls fighting with each other when they were little. Hell, even as they're older. I mean, when you know that you're going to say something to someone and they're instantly going to have their ire put up and they're going to get defensive, you're not going to have a conversation. You've already determined what the tenor of that conversation is going to be with that initial comment that you make. We talked about it at the Thanksgiving episode, I mean, just that. And I feel like that's exactly what Trump did when he sent in the 2,000 ICE agents. I'm not sure they were all ICE, federal agents of some sort. And then Tim Walz calls up the National Guard. I mean, it was just this, it's everybody's jockeying for position because we all know how they feel about each other. And what happened is it escalated to this point.
We all knew that something was going to happen, right? We all knew.
Yep. At some point.
Yeah.
Yep. Maybe it was Minneapolis. Maybe it was Portland. Maybe it was Chicago. It doesn't matter. We are in a time right now where I have never, and I guess I was talking to my girls about this, and I said, I can't imagine challenging a federal agent with a weapon. Would you ever?
No.
Right.
No.
That's unimaginable to me. And the girls go, well, it's been happening for years. And I go, how? And they go, well, didn't in the civil rights? Didn't that happen in the civil rights movement? And maybe they're right. I mean, maybe this has been a thing, challenging those.
Sure.
A law enforcement officer, though, I just have such a hard time with that. And I think then that is so this, number one, the killing of Renee Good is horrible when all life is valuable. And so nothing else matters. Like, she should not have lost her life.
Why can't this administration just be quiet? Just let it was within moments that their name calling. And then
I agree.
You do.
Yep.
Thank you. Because I'm like,
no, I completely agree. Kristi Noem's comment was really dumb.
She is so bananas, Jolene. I don't even know what to do with her. And you and I talked about this on the phone, that here was Tom Holman.
Oh, I know.
Yes.
Who's the border czar.
Yes.
And he's the one who said, can everybody just shut up?
Yes.
Everyone shut up and let this process take place and stop, giving your knee-jerk reactions on both sides, posturing for position to say this was wrong and this was right, because you're both wrong and you're not helping.
Yeah.
You're not helping.
I mean, we can get into it, but I don't even think we need to get into it, you and I, about what you saw, what I saw, because everyone else has been talking about it. And so we will just be redundant. I love that we are in agreement about this, that we need to, it's horrific. And both Jolene and I are saying this is horrific. I want us to get back and trust the system. We need to have investigations, we need to check the facts, and we need to figure out what happened. And that's the other thing. Now the FBI has frozen out the local authorities. It's called the BCA, the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. It's a independent Minnesota agency with the local authorities that were part of the investigation that now the FBI has frozen out, which I can't speak to conservatives, but for liberals, it makes us think, well, they're going to fix it.
What are you hiding?
Yeah. Because I'm just going to speak for myself, but I think we all would like to feel safe in this country, and that we would like to trust our government and law enforcement. And right now, everything is feeling like there's all these videos, and that the administration is just like, there's nothing to see here. End of story.
Okay, so when you say, though, because this is where I'm going to push back.
Okay.
When you say we all want to feel safe, you have to look at what is ICE's role. ICE is going after illegal immigrants who have a criminal history.
Yeah, but they're not.
And
they're not just doing that.
That is their job. Why are our citizens inhibiting them from doing their job?
Because but Jolene,
that's going to be the crux of this. If you, Renee Good, were so mad that you were following ICE around all morning and all of their stops, trying to inhibit them from doing their job, and that it escalated to that point then that she and her wife got, they had their video cameras, they were videotaping all of that. Like, at what point do you say these are federal investigators who are just doing their job? And why do you have, what gives you the right, or even think that you have the ability to get in their way?
So, I don't know what the real story is, because I've also heard stories that she had just dropped her 6-year-old off, and that her wife was the one that says, let's go down to the protest. So I can't speak to, I don't think we actually know. Like, there are so many conflicting stories. The ICE thing, they aren't just going after people that have criminal records because they're trying to get quotas. I think the other thing that really upsets people, and it upsets me, is that they're masked. I question the training at this point. I'm going to give people the benefit of the doubt, and I might get like some serious pushback for saying this, but I also can't imagine being in that position as an ICE person where you have all this hate coming towards you. There's so much trauma on either side. Like, there's so much trauma. And no, we're not like, they're not having, so when the guy was like dragged 100 yards last June for punching a window in, which, whatever, I don't, but did he sit down and like have a counseling session after? Probably not. You don't know that? I don't.
You don't know that? I do
not know that. All I know is that they're going through a lot of trauma, and so are the people being the communities that are afraid of getting plucked out of their life.
Okay, then stop. Then why won't these protesters?
Masked? Why are they masked, Jolene?
Well, oh my gosh! Well, at first, when I first saw that they were masked, I'm like, oh gosh, that doesn't sound right. But now, looking at the vitriol that is against, there are people that want them killed. Heck yes, they need to be masked, because they're going home to their families at the end of the night, or at the end of the week, or the end of the month, however the process is. These people are married and have children and have parents. So
are the people that cross the border. They're married with children. Listen, I get you.
Then do it legally.
I do agree with you. Do it legally. I agree with you about this. But this system has been broken for so long. And yes, quote unquote, Trump is doing something about it. But again, it's the tactics. It's violent.
I agree.
It is a recipe for disaster on both sides. And no one's talking anymore, right? You and I are talking.
Well, but here's the thing. Border crossings are down 99%. How many people cross the border illegally these last 6 months?
Would you want to come to this country right now? No.
It is still the greatest country in the world. So you're right. The tactics are questionable, but the results are what we all wanted, right? I remember doing a broadcast with you, an episode with you, and you said, if he can stop the immigrants from crossing the border, I will give him credit. Remember?
I do remember, but I don't think that's, you're trapping me a lot today. I don't like that.
I don't want to trap you.
Don't stop trapping me. Don't put baby in the corner and stop trapping me. Listen, I think we can agree that we don't like the tactics. Can we can agree.
Yes. Yep.
You like the results. Me,
yep.
I'm not so sure. I will there's one thing. There is one thing. No, there are two things that I will say that have been good in the last week. And I don't want to talk about it, but I'm going to talk about it. But I will say it.
Oh, God, that's something Trump would say right there.
I don't want to talk about it because I really don't like a lot of the things that RFK does. I really don't like it. I'm not a fan of pulling the vaccines, whatever. But I like that he's upturned the food pyramid upside down, and he's encouraging people to eat real food. That's a positive. And a second positive is Trump putting up an executive order about making sure that corporations can't buy housing.
Yeah,
that was huge. And this is the problem, Mr. Trump, is that you do all this other crazy shit that we can't actually celebrate something good. And liberals are not supposed to say, like, the fact that I'm saying this, I know I'm going to get pushed back because I'm supposed to hate him. And guess what? I pretty much do. But I am going to shout out some things that I think are good. I'm also going to say, shout out Josh Hawley and Todd Young for stepping up and being brave and saying, yo, this is too much. This is too much. Listen, Lisa Murkowski.
I'm so proud of you right now.
Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins, and Rand Paul, you always do your own thing.
Right. Yeah, right.
I'm going to shout out to the two, like, Trump loyalists that are like, yo, we are done with this. We want to be consulted.
It Josh Hawley that you said on election night once you saw that he won that you were done?
I was done. It was him and Ted Cruz. I was done. But I was like, whoa, I'm going to, listen, if it's the only way, everybody, that we're going to start to heal.
Okay.
Are we going to talk about Iran? We've got
to get to Iran.
Okay, go.
Okay. All right.
Go.
Okay. Here's the thing. We don't know a lot.
No, we don't.
Because they have
it's Iran.
cut off all communication. So what we do know is that as of this morning, again, January 11th, that 538 people have now been killed.
For protesting.
10,675 have been arrested that we know of. This has been going on. This Islamic Republic regime has been going on for 47 years, since 1979. It was a hostile takeover. The Ayatollah Khamenei, he has threatened to kill anybody that is protesting. He will put them in their place. 34 million people are in the streets. This has all been precipitated on the absolutely dive in their economy. The Iranian people. I knew an Iranian woman when we lived in Albuquerque, and I remember thinking at the time, oh, I thought Iran was bad. And I got to know her, and she was such a lovely, sweet, smart lady. And she taught me so much about the people of Iran. And she's like, no, like, we are really smart. Like, we are in the Middle East, like, the women are the most educated in Iran. And I mean, all that to say, the people are finally revolting. They've had enough. So there are a total of 185 cities that are in this revolution right now. There are more than 1 million people in the streets in Mashhad, which is the second largest city in Iran. And I'm sure you've seen the video. I mean, they've had enough. They've had enough, and they're trying to overthrow the government. The police are even laying down their weapons because protesting with the people. I don't know what's going to happen. And as of this recording, I think that there have been meetings, that Trump has had some meetings with his administration about what they should do. Can they do anything? Trump has said, if you kill people, we're coming after you. And they have killed people. And I don't know if this is a red line for him. I don't know. I would hope, if we're going to take this full circle and we're going to come back to the Western Hemisphere and Venezuela being in our backyard, hey, guess what, Europe? This is your chance to help in the Middle East and maybe do something. This is not a battle that we have to take on our by ourselves. You go.
When the Shah was eradicated, what's the word I want? Ousted. There was a huge community of Iranians that moved to California in the 80s and to escape. I am glad that you said what you said about meeting an Iranian woman and not knowing that they weren't bad. I think that's it's a problem that we all have as Americans, and in the way we are taught about the propaganda of, like, our enemies. And there's Iranians are just like us, like, and we are not our leaders, and I think sometimes we forget that, and the movies certainly continue a narrative that they want us to believe, right? So your information is definitely more current, because I knew that by last Thursday 45 people had been killed, that some of the protests were calling back the family of the Shah. The Crown Prince is actually living in D.C., but because they don't know who's going to run the country, which obviously is an issue. And when the government is cutting off internet access, that's obviously a problem because we have very limited views into what's going on here. But because people are incredibly savvy, there are workarounds. We are finding that, this information is happening, and they're killing the protesters. I think I have the exact same questions you do, Jolene. Like when Vance says we're going to go after you if you kill people, well, they're killing people and you're not going after them. And JD Vance, you seem to hate when we protest our own country, but you're fine with going after Iran. That I also was like, oh, really?
I love that you made that comment, because where are all the Free Palestine protesters now for Free Iran?
Listen,
I mean, that drives me crazy because it's not Israel, because you're not protesting against Israel.
No, because you're not protesting against anti-Semitism, because it's about Jews. It's about Jews. I'm sorry. It's about Jews, everybody. So, yeah. So here is this. I look at these videos and I imagine that we might be in complete agreement, the liberal and conservative. I look at these Iranians like fighting for their right, and I'm like, go, do it. Like you deserve to have a free society.
Yeah.
Will it happen? I don't know. They've had protests before. They've had uprisings before. I think it was in 2009, and I'm going to forget the other date. And then
I don't think it was that long ago.
No,
I mean, it was just a few years ago.
And then what has happened is that the current government doubles down, and so many people die.
Yeah.
So when you say, hey, Europe, get behind it. This is where I'm going to, as the liberal. If we're going into Venezuela, we better go take care of Iran. We need to help these people. That's what I think. We need to help them.
Wow.
We need to help them.
I know, but they're not in our backyard, and it doesn't, you know what? That is a very liberal thing, because you want to go help them from a humanitarian crisis.
But I'm also not naive, Jolene, because
where there's no power or money.
Right. There's no power or money. And I also think I'm not naive. They have no plan. They just want freedom. And you've got, thousands of years of a different way of living. So how does this work? How does this work?
The fact that Iran has called in Iraqi and Lebanese government to come in and start killing people, I mean, that was a Reuters article that I looked at, or it could have been NBC News, because I have both of these on here. They don't want to have to do the killings themselves. And so if they have Iraqi and Lebanese forces coming in here doing the actual killing, I mean, military machine guns killing people.
But who is the they? Like, is there a leader? Are there people?
Yeah, the Ayatollah.
Oh,
Yes.
I'm sorry.
That he is the one.
I misunderstood. I thought you were saying, oh, wow. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were meaning that the resistance was talking to Lebanon and Syria.
No.
Okay.
Here's the other thing. Leaders, this is from an NBC News article, that leaders, Iranian leaders are applying for visas to both France and Germany to get the heck out. They see the writing on the wall. They're applying for visas. And we are calling for France and Germany to go, no, you're not coming. We're not going to grant you a visa. It'll be interesting to see what France and Germany do.
Yes, it will. I would agree with that. No, you're not allowed to go.
So,
I mean, that's a way to hold these leaders accountable. You act like an asshole, you don't get to come to our country.
Yeah. Yep.
Reap the consequences, guys. That's it.
Yeah. Yep.
Reap what you sow.
So,
isn't that a Bible thing?
Let's go, Europe. Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, this goes back to, again, this is full circle and goes back to the Venezuelan conversation, the Monroe Doctrine. We'll take care of our hemisphere. Europe, you take care of yours.
Don't we take care of each other? All of us.
Yes, kumbaya, my friend. We all need to take care of each other, but we don't need to police the world. And Trump is an anti-war president. He really is. Yeah, he doesn't want to get into a war.
He's certainly creating a lot of drama that could instigate some wars.
But he's done it without, I mean, he didn't, the whole thing with not asking for permission for going into Venezuela with the
that's not good, Jolene.
The group of 8. I agree,
Okay.
except he was also worried that
They'd say no.
that
He's one of
that
those-
Akeem Jeffries. He was worried that Akeem Jeffries would go and tell Maduro, "Hey, guess what? They're coming after you."
There's no way that Hakeem Jeffries would tell Maduro.
I don't know. Maybe.
That would be like, that's Benedict Arnold stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
But listen, we are in a divided country right now. I that's the thing that I know that, like, I really don't like how Trump is dealing with stuff. Liberals. We're Americans, everybody. We're on the same team. When are we going to start acting like it?
Listen, because as soon as Trump's out of office, he could find the cure to cancer tomorrow, and liberals
would be
would
good.
say, "No, no, no." Liberals would say, "No, it's a conspiracy theory."
No.
And
Listen, I just
they
gave
wouldn't go for it.
gave him two happies. Or
You
I
did. You did.
I did.
That's because that's on growth.
Because I'm trying. I'm trying to figure
Yes.
this thing out with you. I really am.
Yes,
I'm really trying.
I agree. We are.
Listen, listener and viewer, this has been quite a ride. It's a little bit longer, but I think this is important to welcome 2026 and all of its banananess. Do you have a good for the soul? Because I really think we need some good for the souls today.
I have the best good for the
Yes,
soul.
girl.
Oh,
Yes, girl.
I saw this and I was going to send it to you and I go, nope, I got to save
Yes,
it.
you do.
It is CBS Evening News, On the Road with Steve Hartman. It is a story of a community, South Bend, Indiana.
Okay.
A man who's got a dilapidated pickup truck, and what this community did. It's a great story, and you have to watch it.
Okay, great.
So I'll send it.
Awesome.
Put it in the.
We'll put it in the
please watch
yeah,
it.
we'll put it in the show notes. Mine is an Instagram handle. It's at Yes Theory, YESTHEORY, and he describes his page as life's greatest moments and deepest connections are outside of your comfort zone.
Oh.
And the reason I actually found this person was because there is a good for the soul that's probably going to actually air after this, which is that It's Sozer, that Sam Weidenhofer guy who has created the Kindness Army, and he does all these amazing, he finds stories all over the world and raises money for people, and he's just this incredible human. And he was inspired by this creator. So it all is this like connected together, but like basically this guy he stretches himself, puts him in situations that are out of his comfort zone for deeper growth. And I think
that's awesome.
I think you guys would like this Instagram page. So yeah.
Perfect.
Would you rather, girl? I'm keeping it light, but I'm making it difficult because I'm making it about food. And that's your favorite thing in the world. All right,
Yep.
you ready?
Okay. Yep.
Would you rather eat your favorite food every day for the rest of your life, or never eat your favorite food again?
Wow.
And what is that favorite food?
Okay, so I was just going through my mind. Would it be a Cheeto? Like, do I get to eat a Cheeto every day for the rest of my life, or would it be a French fry? And that's the other thing. Is it just one? Like, is it just one Cheeto? Do I have to eat a Cheeto
Or a
every day for
meal.
the rest of my life? Or is it like a plate of spaghetti? Like, do I have to eat spaghetti for the rest of my life? Because then if I chose to never eat it, could I have a variation of it? Could I have fried potatoes? Or could I have Cheeto Puffs?
My God. Listen.
I know
There's
like
so
this
much.
is the way my brain,
Clearly.
works. Yeah.
Why don't
So-
I'll be generous and I'll let you decide what you want, and then you answer the question.
I'm gonna say that I get to eat. No, I can't say that I want my favorite food for the rest of my life because then I'll get sick of
That's
it.
right.
So I'm going to say I never get to eat my favorite food ever again. Then I will tell you that my favorite food is liver and onions, and I'd never have to eat it ever again.
But you're lying.
But I'd be lying to you, and I do not lie to you, my friend.
No, we don't do that on We've Got to Talk. So you wouldn't get to eat said food.
Yeah, that's what I'm going with.
Okay. I like it.
Would you rather be in Venezuela or Iran right now?
That is horrible.
I know. And it was like so easy. Like after doing all this research, and I'm like, I got to come up with, and I'm like, well, that's easy.
Oh my God. I feel like a fool. You are like a would you rather rock star. I am a fool, everybody. I've let y'all down.
That is not true.
Okay.
Yours are very heartfelt because you are such a kind human being. You are a kind, thoughtful, you want everyone to love each other and get along.
I do.
I am more cynical and very conspiracy theory driven.
Yes, you are.
And so mine is more direct
Yeah, look
and
at
black
that.
and white.
Okay. Jeez Louise. I don't know.
You have to spend a week. You have to be 1 week. Is it Iran or is it Venezuela?
I guess my first question is, do I get to live after that first week?
You don't know.
I know this is a weird answer, but I think I'd want to be in Iran
That's the one I want for you.
because I think it would be a spectacular experience. Like a real human people believing in each other experience that doesn't come usually in a lifetime. I am sure that you see some horrors, but I would imagine you see some incredible experiences of resilience and hope. So
Wow,
I think
that just got so deep.
I think that's what I would do.
I was choosing Iran for you because I feel like Venezuela is so dangerous as an American. And they're issuing the order this morning to get out.
You think I think Iran's pretty dangerous too.
I do, but I feel like Iran's big enough. It's such a huge country that you could go hide in the hills somewhere for a week and live out your week and then get out.
With my red hair and freckles, for sure.
Yeah, you would really.
But I'm
stand
little,
out.
so I could hide pretty well.
You could hide. That is true.
I don't know.
You could put a hat on.
Okay. This was bananas.
As the rest of this year is going to
That's
be,
right.
I have a feeling.
So listen, listener and viewer, thank you. Thank you for being on this journey with us. Thank you for listening to a little bit longer of an episode. We just felt like it was really important to start to talk about all these things that have happened in the last 2 weeks of our, maybe a little bit longer, of our year. And we're so grateful that we are in our second year. And we are so grateful that you are here with us. If you're new to our podcast, thank you for being here. Please share this with a friend or share this with someone you are on opposite sides with. We are creating a community here because we know there are more of us that want a different way to be. And we're going to change this one person at a time. And I'm so grateful, Jolene, that we are on this ride together. I love you so much. Please like, subscribe, and follow wherever you get your podcasts. If you're interested in being a sponsor, we would love to have you. Go to the we'vegottatalk.com page and contact us, and we'd love to bring you on this ride with us. Jolene, do you have anything else you would like to say?
I was just going to say, please leave us your comments. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear what your perspective is on all of these issues and what you want to hear more of in 2026. So please let us know. We want to hear from you. I love you, my friend.
I love you too.
Thank you.
Thank you. Happy 2026, everybody. Let's make this a better year.
We've Got to Talk is produced across the world by the wildly talented, creative, and hilarious team at Bambi Media. Our theme song is Jump Jive Swing by Space Train Unlimited. Thank you so much for listening, and join us every week for another episode of We've Got to Talk.